My name is Alexandra Perkins, but I go by Allie, and today is October 5th, 2024. I attempted to take my life on October 5th, 2018. I sit here 6 years later, very grateful for the experiences that I've had and for the opportunity to share my story again with you guys and give you a little life update on where I'm at now.
I walked from Bay Path to the CVS down on the street. I purchased bleach and aspirin, and in my backpack, I had the 7 psychiatric meds that I was prescribed at the time but hadn't been taken. I walked into the park and I crawled into the brook that runs through the forest here. And I laid in the water smoking cigarettes, contemplating on if I was really going to do this.
For those of you who don't know my story, I attempted to take my life on October 5th, 2018. That day was a very difficult day. I was feeling very alone, very isolated, very ostracized from my college community. I didn't feel supported, and I didn't feel that anybody would have cared if I took my life. I thought that there would be a benefit to it, that I would no longer have to be in the amount of pain that I was in. And I honestly thought I was a waste of space. I thought that, it would be better if I wasn't around. So on October 5th, I walked from Bay Path University to the CVS down the street. I purchased bleach and aspirin. I brought along with me the psychiatric medications that I had been hoarding. There were about 7 of them. And I walked into the woods across where the CVS is. I crawled down into a brook, and I laid in the river that runs through the forest there. And I sat there contemplating smoking cigarettes, thinking about whether or not I was really going to do this. And I decided that I really was going to end my life. So I started taking the pills, and I drank the bleach, and at some point I passed out. Before I passed out, I remember seeing a little yellow butterfly that flew across my vision, and I remember thinking that that was a little odd because it was October and most of the insects in the woods had died by that time. So I was always really confused, and it still boggles me to this day why I saw a yellow butterfly. I think now that it was a symbol of hope that I was going to get through it and it was going to be okay. But I laid there for 2 days with the toxins in my body. I was very lucky. Hypothermia actually saved my life. When they found me, they had walked the park because they had tried to find me and locate me with a cadaver dog and a bloodhound, but because I had crawled into the water to erase my scent, the animals weren't able to find me. So they had volunteers line up and walk the park, and they saw me from my red hair out just in the brook, kind of tucked under a bush, but they saw me off to the far left. And they pulled me out of the water. They brought me to Bay State Hospital in Springfield, Massachusetts. And I was in a coma for 10 days, and I received 3 rounds of dialysis. I was in the hospital for about 2 months inpatient, and during that time I had to retrain my lungs to breathe because I was intubated for a while. um, I've actually had traumatic memories of being intubated while conscious in the woods since my incident, and a few other memories come back to me over the past couple years relating to the actual suicide attempt itself being traumatic for me. But in the hospital, I had to do physical therapy and occupational therapy and respiratory therapy to help my body get strong so that I could recover. I eventually did recover from my acute kidney failure. I have no issues that I really know of at this time with my kidneys, uh, but it is something that I have to work with a urologist over nowadays because I do have scar tissue on my kidneys. So at some point, I'll continue to work with my doctor on that. 6 years ago, when I walked into Laurel Park, I was a completely different person. I still have parts of the woman who decided she deserved to die inside of me, that I still struggle with my mental health. And I've had to do a lot of work, a lot of hard work. And my favorite quote that I've really held on to over the last 6 years has been, "It's not your fault what happened to you, but it is your responsibility to heal it." And that is a really difficult thing to ask of someone when they've had horrible, terrible things happen to them, traumatic memories happen. You carry those with you, and it's a weight, and it weighs you down. Healing them isn't necessarily forgiving them if you don't want to. Healing is not forgetting about it or getting over it. Healing is an acknowledgement that you did not deserve what happened to you, but also knowing that you deserve better and being willing to work for yourself on easing that burden just for you so that you can heal and find peace in your mental health journey. And that has been the single most difficult but rewarding aspect of my mental health that I've incorporated to date. I have found hobbies that I genuinely enjoy doing so that I can create positive experiences and promote hope within my own life, doing things that I like and feel passionate about. That's why pageantry is a huge part of my life now, because not only is it a way for me to continue to improve myself and love myself, but it also is a platform for me to advocate for suicide prevention and mental health awareness. Over the last 6 years, I've gotten into a lot of my hobbies. I've also volunteered a lot within my community to provide support to members of the community struggling with homelessness, addiction, suicide, all different topics relating under that mental health umbrella. I like to volunteer within my community to provide supports. I have also started crocheting, which is a huge thing for me because I like to crochet hats and like stuffed animals to donate to uh, homeless shelters during the winter so that people will have nice homemade hat to wear. Small things like that that give me purpose in life, that help me to feel like I'm making a difference, that I survived for a reason. I'm here for a purpose, and I genuinely believe that that purpose is helping others through their mental health journey. Finding my purpose was one of the most important things that I could have done for myself in the last 6 years. Uh, that purpose is my drive and my direction. That's not something I had when I walked into the woods on October 5th, 2018. I know now why I'm here, and I am using that drive to enact positive change, not only in my life, but in the lives of the people around me. So I graduated from Southern New Hampshire University in 2020 with my bachelor's in psychology with concentration in addictions. From there, I went to work for Seacoast Mental Health Center, and I worked as a residential counselor. So I provided in-home support to adults with severe and persistent mental illness. It's a really fun experience, and I learned a lot about mental health and different diagnoses. So the kind of population that I now work with, I'm able to use my experiences from my experience with my suicide attempt, just learning how to manage my mental health and coping with that. I've used those experiences indirectly to support my clients. It's a lot of fun to work in the mental health field. It's never a tiring day, and especially when you work with individuals with severe and persistent mental illness. So those are diagnoses like schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, of various mental illnesses, but these illnesses are a little bit more persistent and severe in the way that they impact someone's ability to care for themselves or live independently. My job now as a case manager is to link and connect people to resources to support them in various categories of needs, but all of these needs relate to their mental health. And it's a really great opportunity for me to use the resources that I've learned as recovering from my mental health. NAMI, for example, I relay that as a resource to the people that I work with, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, local community health organizations, and all different kinds of just resources within the community. I became really passionate about mutual aid and harm reduction. Volunteered for a while with the New Hampshire Harm Reduction Coalition. And through that, I was able to support people in an active addiction. In my last video, I spoke a little bit about my relationship with my mother and how that had impacted my mental health. My mother does struggle with a substance use disorder, and it's made our relationship complicated over the years. I am very grateful to say that I have a positive relationship with my mother now, but it hasn't always been that way. And one way that I found to sort of channel a positive change for me, a way that I could enact the concern that I had for her by making a difference in my community, and that's why I got into harm reduction. So I volunteered with NHHRC for about 2 years, and I worked with their Hand Up program in Rochester, part of their needle exchange where people can exchange clean needles. It's a great resource because not only is it helping individuals to use clean supplies, but it's reducing the risks involved in using intravenous drugs. So HIV, AIDS, hepatitis C, those are bloodborne pathogens that can be spread through sharing needles. Safe syringe programs work to reduce the risks involved in catching pathogens like that. Another big part of harm reduction has to do with wound care. For example, if someone's using and they're not ready to quit, having a resource available to them that will help reduce the health risks involved in intravenous drug use is very vital to keeping people alive. I love to distribute Narcan. I'm a huge Narcan advocate now. Narcan, saved my mom's life, and I I try to pass that out as often as I can. I actually spearhead the White Butterfly Project, which is it's an Instagram social media tool that I've used to connect with my community and sort of talk about how people can get Narcan, and if they can't get it in their community, or test strips and things like that, then the White Butterfly Project is a resource for them to be able to obtain those items. So it's been a lot of fun. The past 6 years have been really exciting. One more thing that I got into was pageantry. I started competing in pageants in 2021. Was my first pageant. Miss New Hampshire USA 2021 was my first pageant. It was actually a big moment for me, and I have continued to do pageantry because for me as a woman to get up on a stage after having an incident like I did, my suicide attempt, I had to work hard to learn how to be confident and respect myself, and develop a sense of self-love so that I was able to showcase who I am as a person and why I was a good candidate for the job. So pageantry was a huge avenue for me in not only improving my mental health, but also of my lifestyle. Pageantry happens to be a lifestyle where you are taking care of your mental, physical, and spiritual health. It's encompasses all of those regions, and that's why I've become so passionate about pageantry. And the stigma has always been like, well, pretty girls in swimsuits, but that's not what pageantry is now. I've competed in 4 pageants. I've placed in a few of them, but I am most excited for my upcoming pageant, which will be taking place in January 2nd through 6th, and that is the Miss Earth USA pageant this year. And I'm just so excited and blessed to have been selected as the representative for the state of New Hampshire. I hope to make the Granite State proud, and my platform this year is focused on suicide prevention. And not only advocate for myself, but for everyone who has felt that they needed to take their life. Because suicide prevention and suicide awareness is a very important topic, not only to me, but to our community in general. Within the next year, I plan to return to college to get my master's in social work. I would really love to focus on military social work. Being a military child and having lived in Guam and visited throughout Asia and being part of that military culture and community in my childhood, I would really love to incorporate that into my professional career. I want to be a social worker and a licensed alcohol and drug counselor for the VA. That would be my ultimate goal. Maybe after that, if I don't stop, go back for my doctorate and become a college professor. I never know where my dreams are going to take me. All I know is that I am dreaming. I have the opportunity now to continue to live my life and have these experiences. If I had been successful in taking my life, and I don't even really like to use that word successful, if I had made that mistake of taking my life back in October of 2018, I never would have adopted the cats that I have now. I never would have graduated college or got my first car or seen a concert, and all of these experiences that I've had over the past 6 years would not have existed. And it hasn't been positive the entire time. Life is not going to be happy all the time. There are ups and downs, and recovery in and of itself is not linear. It is up and down and backwards sometimes, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to go forwards. Giving yourself the opportunity to make a change or have a different experience is so important. And suicide robs you of that. Suicide robs you of the opportunity to smile again. It robs you of the opportunity to laugh again. It also robs you of the opportunity to cry again. There is nothing after suicide. It's so final, and your life can change in an hour, it can change in a day, or it could take some time. But having the willingness to show up for yourself and put in the work to heal, it's hard to ask, but that is what self-love is. And coming out of especially a suicide attempt, or if you yourself are having thoughts of harming yourself and you're looking for a story or a connection, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are a lot of us who feel that way. Giving yourself time to process what you're feeling, to know that you won't always feel this way. It does end, and there is opportunity for happiness in the future. So this is my crown for Miss New Hampshire Earth. I will be competing for Miss New Hampshire Earth in January down in Orlando. It's January 2nd through the 6th. And I will be advocating for suicide prevention and mental health awareness. I'm really excited to compete, and this is just the next step in the journey of living with mental illness.